am Dr. M. Laxmidevi, Associate Professor in the Department of CSCDS at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today's topic is loop control statements in C. So today we'll learn about for loop, while loop and do while loops. So first let us see what is the use of loops, why we need loops in C programming language. So loop control statements. So loops in programming are used to repeat a block of code until the specified condition is met. Suppose you want to print IARE 2 times. So one time and then the second time. So just writing the printf statements 2 times. So that with that the requirement of printing IARE 2 times will be satisfied. But if you want to print this IARE 100 times or 1000 times, then it is not feasible to write 100 statements, 100 printf statements or 1000 printf statements to print IARE. So in that case, so whenever certain piece of code or certain set of statements are to be repeated again and again, then we use loops in programming language. So loops are used. So when we need to repeat certain set of statements again and again, so there we use loops. So loops in programming are used to repeat a block of code until the specified condition is met. A loop statement allows programmers to execute a statement or group of statements multiple times without repetition of the code. So when you repeat the same code 100 times or 1000 times, the length of the program increases and also the complexity of the program also increases. So in order to avoid all these disadvantages, so we use loops in C programming. So loop control statements. So there are different types of loops. So in C we have types of loops. So these are classified into 2 main types. First one is entry control loop. The second one is exit control loop. So we'll see first one, entry control loop. So in entry control loop, test condition is checked before entering the main body of the loop. So here main body of the loop indicates the set of statements to be executed. Example for this entry control loop are for loop and while loop. So there are mainly 3 types of loops in C: for loop, while loop, and the last one is do while loop. So in this video lecture, we'll discuss about each one in detail. We'll see the syntax, then flowchart, and also one example for each of the loops. So here in for loop and while loop, the test condition is checked before entering into the main body of the loop. Next, exit control loop. So exit control loop is, from the name itself, we can say that the test condition is evaluated at the end of the loop body. So loop body will execute at least once, irrespective of whether the condition is true or false. So example for this is do while loop. So do while loop is exit control loop. So first let us see the syntax and then see what is the test condition, what are the different features incorporated into the different loops. So first one is for loop. So for loop syntax is, so this is the syntax. The keyword used here is for. So for is a keyword followed by parenthesis. So in the parenthesis we have to write different expressions. So this is one expression, this is another expression, and this one is the third expression. So this expression is nothing but initialization. So here initialization is required. So initialization, or you can say that initialization expression. So this is conditional expression, this is updation. So this updation can be nothing but increment or decrement. So this is done with the help of increment or decrement operator. And so first one, initialization. So when you're writing a block of statements or when you want to repeat a certain set of statements many number of times, so you have to start from somewhere. So for example, suppose if you want to print the numbers from 1 to 10. So here the starting number is 1. So 1 is to be printed. So 1 has to be printed. So here this is initialization. So you need to initialize this value with some variable. So the initialization value is 1. Next, after that, condition. So condition has to be checked. So in order to execute the set of statements present in the body of the loop, so some condition must be satisfied. So only then the set of statements which are there inside the loop or inside the body, this is the body of the loop which are specified inside the curly braces. This block of code is nothing but body of the loop, body of for loop, where you write the set of statements. So here you can include set of statements, or it can be a single statement also which you want to repeat. Next, in order to repeat these set of statements, so you need to specify the condition. So that this condition is specified after the initialization, followed by after the semicolon, then you need to mention the condition expression. So here again semicolon and then updation. So condition, the result of condition is it evaluates to true or false. So based upon that, if it is true, only then the block of code which is there inside this for loop, so those statements will be executed. Then after that, the next step, updation will be carried out. So this is done with the help of increment or decrement operator. So as you can see here, so after the for loop, there is no semicolon here. So this is the syntax of for loop. So let us understand it with the help of flowchart also. So first one, the first step in for loop is initialization. So you need to initialize the value. So initialization represents from where the value has to be started. Suppose in order to print 1 to 10, so initial value to be printed is 1, and then the last expression 10 is to be printed. So for each value you need to check the condition. So if the condition is satisfied, only then the next step will be evaluated, or the body of the loop will be evaluated. So if the condition is true after initialization, if the condition is true, then the set of statements which are there inside the body of the for loop, so they will be executed, those statements will be executed. Then updation step is carried out. So after that, again the condition is checked. So this will go on. So this loop will continue till the condition becomes false. So once the condition becomes false, so these are the, so it comes to the end of the for loop. After that, the statements which are there after the for loop, those statements will be executed. So this is a flowchart for loop. For loop flowchart. Next we will understand with the help of one program. Let us see one program here. So this is a small program. So where you have two variables, num and I. So we have initialized two variables. We have initialized the variable num with the value 5, and I we have taken another integer variable I. Next we have written the for loop. So in the for loop, this I is equal to 1. So for I is equal to 1. So this is initialization. This is initialization followed by semicolon. After that, the condition expression or the condition I less than or equal to num, then I plus plus. So inside this we have written one statement. So here inside the body of the loop, if there is only one statement, so we can skip these curly braces. So if there are many statements to be executed, then it is necessary or it becomes obligatory to insert these curly braces. So we have only one statement, we can skip these curly braces also. So printf %d. So this is escape sequence. So this is just for readability of the output. So output becomes more clearer by using escape sequences. So therefore we have used this escape sequence /n. After that I. So corresponding to this %d, I is the value. So I value is to be printed. Now let us understand. So what will be the output of this one? So first, the control is after initializing, after declaring the variable num and 5. So we have initialized the value of num as 5. Then the control is transferred here inside the for loop. So when the control is transferred here, first step is initialization. So I will be equal to 1. So there is a variable I, so that its value will be assigned as 1. So next condition will be checked. So first condition, so what is the condition? I is less than or equal to num. So 1 is less than or equal to 5. So num is equal to 5, therefore 1 is less than or equal to 5. This condition is true. So therefore it will, control is transferred here, this statement will be executed, I will be printed. So %d corresponds to 1 will be printed. Next cursor will go to the second line, next line. After that this increment this updation is done. So it is nothing but increment here. So I plus plus indicates I is equal to I plus 1. So I value will be incremented by 1. So after now I value is equal to 2. So this is iteration 1. This is iteration 2. So iteration means how many times the loop is repeating. So in the first iteration I is equal to 1, condition checked is 1 less than or equal to 5. In the second iteration I is equal to 2. Here again it will check the condition. 2 is less than or equal to 5. The condition is satisfied. This condition evaluates to true. So it evaluates to true means, so it will enter the body of the loop and then this statement will be printed. Now I value will be equal to 2. So next, in the next iteration, third iteration, now again I value will be incremented by 1. So I is equal to 3. So condition check, it will check the condition 3 less than or equal to 5. So 3 less than or equal to 5 means, so that is true. So it will enter this loop. 3 will be printed. So in this way, you can see the output of this program is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So after 5, so when I value is equal to 5, so when after printing the value of I is equal to 5 here, so next step will be I value will be incrementing by 1. So 5 plus 1 is 6. Now I is equal to 6. So when I is equal to 6 here, so here the condition should be checked. So 6 is less than or equal to 5. This condition is false. So it is false means this statement will not be executed. It will come out of the control will come out of the loop. So in this way, the output of this program is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So this is the working of for loop. So same is demonstrated here. So this is the first step which is carried out, initialization. Then the second step is condition. So condition is checked. In the third step, so this printf statement is executed, and then fourth step is incrementing. So incrementing the value of the variable I. Then after that, this loop will go on repeating. So after this step will be completed. After that, this step again will be done. So in this way, this loop will be repeating. So till the condition is false. So as soon as the condition becomes false, so control is transferred out of the for loop. So so for loop contains 3 different parts: initialization, condition and increment or decrement part. So 3 parts are there, followed by, these are separated by semicolon. So semicolon is a must here. So for loop, first is initialization, and then next one is condition, the last one is updation. So all of them must be separated by semicolon. When the loop executes for the first time, initialization of the variable is done, counter variable. So we have used the counter variable I. So I will be done. After that, expression given in the conditional part is tested. So in the conditional part, we have given the condition I less than or equal to num. So if the expression evaluates to true, control will enter into the body of the loop. So inside the body of the loop, we have given the printf statement, that is printing the value of I. So statements inside the loop will be executed. After that, control is transferred to the third part, where counter value will be either incremented or decremented. So in the update expression, we have written this I plus plus. So I plus plus implies I is equal to I plus 1. So with the modified counter value, test expression will be checked again to enter into the loop. So this process will be repeated until the condition becomes false. So once the condition becomes false, the loop will be skipped and the statements following by for loop will be executed. So initialization is done only once when the loop encounters for the first time. So initialization is done only once. So for loop allows to specify multiple conditions as well as complex expressions to be tested. So let us see one more program. So by using for loop. So this is also a program. Here you can see that we have made a small modification to the above program. So we have inserted semicolon here. So with semicolon, what it does is this program is equivalent to this one. So this part will remain same, but for loop, so inside the for loop, if you place So at the end, if you place a semicolon, so this program is equivalent to this one. So it is nothing but expression. So if you put a semicolon at the end, so that means the body of the loop is empty here. So it will run. So this loop will repeat until the condition is satisfied. So with nothing will be printed here. So no statements are there here. In the body of the loop, we don't have any statements. After that, when the condition becomes false, so if the control is transferred here and this printf statement will be executed. So this will repeat only once. So in this way, if you run this program, so output you will be getting is 6. So why you're getting 6 here means, so when you put a semicolon here at the end of for loop, so the loop will repeat 5 times. So for I is equal to 1, so for iteration 1, so I is equal to 1 here. Then it will check the condition I less than or equal to 5. So this condition is true, I will be print. So here inside the body of the loop, we have not written any printf statement. So it will not print anything. Next, in the second iteration, now I value is equal to 2. So 2 is, I is incremented. So 2 is less than or equal to 5. So this loop will go on repeating till iteration 5. So till the 5th iteration. So at the 5th iteration, I is equal to 5. So 5 less than or equal to, so this condition is satisfied. For the 6th iteration, so when I is equal to 6, 6 less than or equal to 5, this becomes false. So as soon as this becomes false, so it will come out of this, so this statement followed by the semicolon that is printed. So that's why we get, so in now the value of I is equal to 6 here. So the output which you will get is 6. So in this way, if you put semicolon at the end, so it will treat as in the body of the loop empty statements are there. So it will repeat the loop, for loop will repeat for n number of times specified until this condition is satisfied with empty statements in the for loop. Next, one more example you can see. So this here we have initialized multiple variables. So see, this for loop allows multiple initialization expressions also. So you can initialize multiple variables here. So we can, in the conditional part also, we can include multiple variables, multiple conditional expressions or test expression. So here also we can include multiple increment or decrement operation. So next here, so here we have initialized two variables, I is equal to 1, j is equal to 1. So these two are separated by, so when you need to assign, when you need to initialize two variables or multiple variables in the same for, in this for loop, you need to separate it by comma. So that's why we have used comma here. So after this, the condition expression should be followed by a semicolon. So semicolon we have written here. Then we are checking the condition I less than 5, j less than 3. Then semicolon, after that I plus plus, j plus plus. Now inside this we have written the printf statement %d in the next line. So you can also write here. So in order to print I and j value, we need to include two format specifiers. So here we need to include one more format specifier %d /n, then I comma j. So this is a for loop. So for first iteration, I is equal to 1, j is equal to 1. So here we have two conditions to be checked. So which condition will be evaluated here? So output of this program will be 1, 2, 1 and 2. So why? Because this condition is checked here. The condition which is there on the right hand side. So that condition will be checked. And if this condition, when this condition becomes false, the control is transferred out of the for loop. So let us see how this will be evaluated. So for the first, I is equal to 1, j is equal to 1. So those two values will be printed. So I and j both are 1 and 1. Next in the second iteration, so I and j value are incremented. So I is equal to I plus 1 and j is also equal to j plus 1. So now I will be equal to 2, j will be equal to 2. So I and j both are equal to 2 now. So that value will be printed. So printf statement will be executed, I and j value will be printed in the next line. Then after that, again increment operation will be done. So I is equal to 3 now and j is also equal to 3. So now it will check the condition. So this condition is evaluated, whereas this condition is not evaluated. So it will check only this condition. So j is equal to 3 now. J should be, the condition specified is j less than 3. So this becomes false. So therefore it comes out of the for loop. So in this way the output of this program is 1, 2, 1 and 2. Next one more. So same program, in order to understand the evaluation of this condition. So in this program, so we have changed the positions of j and this condition j. So initially we have mentioned I less than 5. After that we have mentioned j less than 3. So this condition is checked. Now we have interchanged j less than 3. We have placed this on the right hand. On the left hand side, we have placed this condition on the right hand side. So now let us see what is the output of this program. So output of this program is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has to print I and j values both 1, 2, 3, 4. So output of this program is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here we need to write %d as the format specified. Now why this is taking place is, so as we the expression which is there whenever in the for loop, if there are two expressions, when there are two test conditions or two test expressions to be checked, then the condition which is there on the right hand side, that will be evaluated. So this condition is evaluated. Here in this case, this condition evaluated. So that's why we got 1 and 2 as the answer. Output as 1 and 2. Now in this, so the expression or the test expression, this is evaluated. So until this becomes false, you will get the output. So this printf statement will be executed. So therefore it will repeat for 4 times. And as soon as I is equal to 5, so I is equal to 5, this becomes false. So control will come out of the for loop. So in this way, we can understand. Therefore, in order to avoid this, so we can, therefore we need to use only one test expression or condition. So in order to bring, for the program to become more clear. So next one is one more example, let us see. So here we can combine the two expressions also with the help of logical or logical and operator. So here we have used logical or operator. So logical or operator, what it does is, so we know the table. First, let us see what is the output of this program. So I is equal to 1, j is equal to 1. So after this, j less than 3 or I less than 5. So both the conditions are true. So 1 and 1. So 1 is less than 3 and then 1 less than 5. So both are true. So this evaluates to 1. So 1 and according to the table, logical or table. So if we have two inputs, A and B, if this is 1, so output will be 1. If we have 0 and 1, this is 1, 1 and 0 will be 1, 1, 1, 0, 0 is equal to 0. So in this way we can understand this logical or operation. This condition evaluates to true, so 1, this condition evaluates to true. So output is equal to, so output is 1, that means true. So when it is true means this condition, this statement will be executed and I and j value will be printed. So here I and j, so here also we need to include %d. So I and j will be printed. Now output is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 here. So when I is equal to 2 in the next iteration, so in the first iteration, this one, in the second iteration, j is equal to 2. So condition is 2 less than 3 or 2 less than 5. So this is true and this one is also true. So 1 and 1 means 1, it becomes true. So printf, this line will be printed. So first line, second line will be printed. After that, in the third iteration, so when I is equal to 3, j is equal to 3. So I is equal to 3 means, so both are 3 here. So 3 less than 3 or 3 less than 5. So 3 is less than 3. This evaluates to 0. So 0 and 1. 0 and 1 corresponds to 1. So this is 1. Therefore, this line will be printed. Next, in the fourth iteration, so I is equal to 4. J is also equal to 4. So 4 less than 3 or 4 less than 5. So this evaluates to 4 is less than 3. This is 0. This evaluates to 0. Evaluates to 0 in the sense false. And this one is true. So false and true is evaluates to true. So it is 1. So therefore this line will be printed. Now in the next iteration, iteration 5, I is equal to 5, J is equal to 5. So 5 less than 3, this is true. So 5 less than 5. So 0 and 0 will correspond to 0. So output of this is false. So therefore this line will not be executed, will not get any. So it will come, the control will come out of the for loop. So in this way we can understand the use of for loop with the help of programs. The next one is while loop. So while loop is also entry control loop. So we have seen the working of for loop. For loop is entry control loop, whereas while loop is also entry control loop. So in any loops, we need to have 3 expressions. First one is initialization. The second one is condition. And the third one is updation. So here also we have, let us see the syntax for while loop. So at the start we have to initialize the variable, then followed by the keyword while, then inside the parenthesis we need to specify the condition, followed by curly braces, opening of curly braces. Inside this curly braces we need to include the block of code or the statements which are to be executed, and then inside this only we need to write the update expression also or updation. And then end of the curly braces, or curly braces should be closed. So this is the syntax of while loop. Now let us see the flowchart of while loop. So first is, so at the start initialization will be done. So variable initialization, then condition is checked. If the condition is true, code inside the body of the while loop will be executed. Then inside this loop only we have included the update expression also. So updation will be done. Then again condition will be checked. So this will go on repeating or until the condition becomes false. So as soon as the condition becomes false, it will come to the end of the loop. So control will be transferred to outside the loop, while loop. Now this is this is example using while loop in order to print the numbers from 1 to 5. So same program we have written for loop. Now you can see the difference between for loop and while loop. So all the 3 expressions are there here also. So first you need to initialize the variable initialization. After that the keyword while, inside this parenthesis you need to specify the condition. So condition specified is num is less than or equal to 5. Then inside this we have written printf statement. This value, num value is to be printed, and inside the while loop itself we need to write the update expression also, that is updation. Here we are performing incrementation, so therefore num plus plus. So in this way, for this program the output of this is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So this is a program to illustrate the use of while loop for printing the numbers from 1 to 5. Next one is, so this program is an example of infinite while loop. So while loop will become infinite, or it will run infinite number of times. So when you don't mention any update expression here. Now from the program you can see here, we have not written any update expression we have not written here. So I is a variable which is initialized with 1. So in the first I is equal to 1, then 1 less than or equal to 2. So this becomes true. So when this is true, so printf statement will be executed. So 1 will be printed. Then after that again I will be same. Update expression is not there. Again I is equal to 1. So this condition is always true. So always true means, so this loop will run infinite number of times. So when you don't write any update expression, it will run infinite number of times. So this is an example of infinite while loop. Next, other one. So this is also an example of infinite while loop here. So suppose initial value of I is equal to 1. So we are checking the condition I is greater than or equal to 5. So here also we have not included any update expression in the body of the while loop. So therefore this will run infinite number of times. Next, the other this one more example for infinite while loop. So here in this instead of in the test condition we have written just the number 1. So in the condition should evaluate to. So for the statements to be executed inside the while loop, the condition should evaluate either to true or false. So outcome of this condition should be true or false. So true in the sense it evaluates to non-zero value. So this is non-zero. 1 is a non-zero value. So this becomes always true. It is always true. So therefore this line will be executed infinite number of times. So this is also an example of infinite while loop. Next one. So that was all about for loop and while loop. So both are entry control loops. Next one is do while loop. Now let us see the difference between while loop and do while loop. So do while loop is similar to while loop, but the only difference is in do while loop the test condition is tested at the end of the body. So once the statements are executed, after that the condition is checked. So that's why test condition is checked at the end of the body. So in do while loop, the loop body will execute at least once irrespective of the test condition. So this is the syntax for do while loop. So in the first line we need to initialization of the variable, and then after that followed by the keyword do. Then inside the curly braces you need to write the block of code or the statements which are to be executed. So here itself you need to mention the update expression also. So after this curly braces, it should be followed by the keyword while, and inside the parenthesis the condition is to be mentioned. So here you need to write a semicolon. You need to place a semicolon at the end of this while. So this is the flowchart or the order in which the do while loop is executed. So first in the do, so first we use the keyword do, and then inside this curly braces we write the set of statements or body of the do while loop. Set of statements, or you can say body of do while loop. So these statements will be executed. After that, when it comes to end of this, here we have written the while. After that the condition will be checked. The condition is checked here. If the condition is true, then the statements will be executed again. These statements will be executed again. So once the condition becomes false, it will come to end of the do while loop. Now let us see one program for this. So let us write a program to print the numbers from 1 to 5 by using do while loop. So first we need to initialize the variable. So we have taken a variable num. Num is equal to 1. So we have initialized the value of num with 1. Next in the do while loop, we have written the printf statement. So percentage d here corresponds to the value of num. So initially num is equal to 1. So that will be printed. So output will be 1. Next, in the next line we have num plus plus. So num plus plus is equal to num plus 1. Num is equal to num plus 1. Then after that it will check the condition. I is less than or equal to. So here num is equal to 2 now. After that 1 is less than or equal to 5. This condition will be checked. It is true. So therefore again the printf statement will be evaluated. The output is equal to 2 now. Next num plus plus. Num is equal to 3 now. So 2 is less than or equal to 5. So 2 is less than or equal to 5. So that will be, it is true. So therefore it will go to the statement, and then 3 will be printed here. When 2 is less than or equal to 5, 2 will be printed. Here in this case 1 will be printed. So after that num is equal to 3 now. So 3 less than or equal to 5. So when num is equal to 3, 3 less than or equal to 5 will be checked. So 3 less than or equal to 5 will be checked. So 3 less than or equal to 5 will be checked. So that 3 will be printed. So 1, 2, 3 will be printed. After that, num is equal to 4. 4 less than or equal to 5. It is satisfied. So 4 will be printed. So now num value is equal to 5. 5 is less than or equal to 5. It is true. So 5 will be printed here. Now num here inside this num is equal to num plus 1. 5 is equal to 5 plus 1. That is equal to 6 now. Now 6 is less than or equal to 5. This is false. So this statement will not be printed. So this is the output of do while loop. This program, this is output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let us see if the condition becomes false. So let us illustrate the same program where we have changed the condition. Now the condition which we have mentioned here is num is greater than or equal to 5. So after initialization, num value is equal to 1. So printf statement, num value will be printed. So after that, it will check the condition. The condition checked is 1 is greater than or equal to 5. So this becomes false. So this becomes false. As soon as this becomes false, so control is transferred to out of the do while loop. So there are no statements here. So program execution will be stopped. So here the output of this program is equal to 1. So thus we can see here. So even though the condition becomes false, so the statements which are there in the printf statement, which are there in the do while loop, so those statements are executed once. So after that, the condition is checked. So that's why it is called as exit control loop. So after evaluating the statements or after executing the set of statements which are there in do while loop, then we check the condition. So that's why it is called as exit control loop. So in the next video lecture, we'll discuss about we'll discuss the differences between all the loops which we have discussed today. So that is for loop, while loop and do while loop. So thank you for all.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.